Hello everyone, this is Venom, and today we're here with another This Week in Destiny. Now this one's going to be a bit special for two reasons. One, because it's the last This Week in Destiny before the final shape comes out, and two, because over the last 24 hours there was actually a major leak on Sony's half that actually leaked the final shape. Now, I have been researching all morning. It looks like not much of the story has been played. It looks like they didn't nuke the servers. Most of what's been leaked online has just been the actual stuff you can find in collections. Apparently, when they started up, you had to actually create a character, so you weren't able to go in with your main characters. So I guess it was like a dead build or something, but players were not able to launch right into the campaign because you had to get to level 1 first, which means you had to go through a bunch of other crap. So there's been a very, very little campaign-wise shared. Most of it's been just like the weapons and armor, which again is a pretty big leak in and of itself, but so far I've not seen any substantial story spoilers. Now, I did speculate that maybe Bungie would be releasing the final shape early. It doesn't look like to be the case. I'm going to go ahead and read their official statement, and then we'll get into the rest of the TWID. Now it says, let me make this a little bit bigger for you. It says, before we begin with the TWID, we wanted to let you all know that earlier today, a portion of Destiny 2, the final shape, was accidentally pushed live on PS5 streaming service. There are currently spoilers being shared online. A small group of players were able to play some of the campaign, access collections, and other rewards or reward info coming in the final shape and echoes, which is going to be the first, the episode. Going from teaser, we're going to episodes now. We recommend being very careful on social media over the next few days to avoid spoilers. Remember to exercise caution and be critical of potential misinformation. Please be considerate of others and report leaks so players can experience the conclusion of the Light and Darkness saga themselves. Thanks to all our community members who have already helped us by reporting leaks and those actively working to prevent more of the experience from being shared before its intended date. It's always extremely difficult when our team's hard work is leaked early, but we are still excited for everyone to experience the full release on June 4th together. Now on to your regularly scheduled TWID. Now this is coming out the heels of Bungie essentially upping their encryption as far as I know to prevent some of these leaks too. They basically put in some additional security to help keep data miners from getting information early. They did this and immediately there was a huge Sony leak, so that leak supposedly leaked some other games as well. I have not got much information on that one because I've been mainly looking up Destiny 2 stuff, but that's where we're at right now. I did speculate that maybe they were going to release the final shape early. That does not seem to be the case. They did go ahead and release a trailer early. We're going to look at that one too. It's for some more crossover armor. Let's go ahead and get into the regular TWID. So this week in Destiny, we're just days away from the final shape. Are you ready? Did you get all the gear you're aiming for? We hope so. And while we can't give you any drops you're missing, we can give you the information on the new artifact perks so you can start fine-tuning your perfect build. So we do get the artifact mods. We get to see what we will be working with in the final shape. And they're going to be going over the Dungeons and Dragons armor preview, which is what we're going to show here in a second. We got the artifact perks. We got the world's first raid race details. We got some art for the Pantheon. And we got some Fireteam Finder chat updates. So we're going to go right into the Dungeons and Dragons. This is going to be a crossover, just kind of like the Ghostbusters one was, or the Witcher one was. This is for Dungeons and Dragons. Let's go ahead and take a look at that one now. So here we are outside the Warlord's Ruined Dungeon. That's the Hunter. Looks like that's the Warlock with the tentacle face. Now we got the new Ghost Shell, we got some emotes here, some dice roll emotes. Sorry, that was a long night. Yeah, I'm not necessarily a fan of this armor. I'm not gonna go too much longer on this. I'm not really a fan of the armor. I mean, it's definitely subjective looking. Some might like it, some may not. We got the Titan here on the left, we got the Warlock in the middle. Hunter on the right. If you like it, great. You can look at picking it up. My guess is it's going to be $20 a pop again, which again, do not agree with. I don't like it as far as the price point goes, so I'm not going to talk about it much more past that. I don't like the armor. I don't like the prices, so I'm going to move past it. If you like it, I'm not going to knock you for buying it, but again, be advised that the entire set's probably going to cost as much as an entire game, or the expansion is coming out in, so keep that in mind. We're going to skip right past that crap and get right to the thing you guys want to know about, the Final Shape Artifact Preview. It says, with the Final Shape right around the corner, we wanted to give you an early look at the artifact perks you can expect on launch day and throughout Echoes. The three elements in focus are going to be, or in this artifact, are Stolar, Void, and Arc. So it's all light season, and all light season. You'll also find a focus on melee and swords, as well as long-range weapons such as sniper rifles. Let's take a look at the Hunter's Journal artifact. Okay, so you can see here an actual picture of the artifact. I mean, this looks like a futuristic journal here. This could be Cade's journal. It could be Crow's journal. More likely Cade's. You see the Ace of Spades down there. That's what makes me think that. This is going to be our artifact, so let's go ahead. We got column 1, so let me back out a little bit. So all of the champion mods for this season are going to be, we've got Anti-Barrier Pulse Rifle. We've got Unstoppable Sidearm. We've got Unstoppable Scout Rifle. Okay, that's interesting on that one. Overload Hand Cannon and Anti-Barrier Submachine Gun. So, SMGs being anti-barrier is a little interesting. Overload Hand Cannon, we've seen before. I don't like that one. It usually takes too long to proc. I mean, it is what it is. Champions are not very liked anyway, but that's what we got for the season. Again, Anti-Barrier Pulse Rifle, Unstoppable Sidearm, Unstoppable Scout Rifle, Overload Hand Cannon, and the Anti-Barrier Submachine Gun. Now, for column 2, we've got Logic Reducer. It says weapons with the Radiolaria Transposer Origin perk deal increased damage to Vex, extends the duration of Radiolaria pools created by Radiolaria Transposer. So the episode coming out, and it's going to be a bit of a spoiler alert, so keep that in mind. Even though some of it's going to be kind of obvious reading through here that this is what it's from, but we're going to go ahead and say spoiler alert anyway. The episode is going to have to do with the Vex, so that's what the Radiolaria Transposer perk is. It's going to have to do with the weapons coming from the season, or coming from the episode. It's going to be a whole Vex episode, so that's what that's from. Next up, we got Overcharged Armoring. Weapons with the Dealer's Choice, Radiolaria Transposer, Collective Purpose, and Sundering Origin traits are always overcharged weapons, so that's going to be your overcharge for the season. Next up, we got Authorized Mod, Elemental Charge. The energy cost of elemental charge mods are significantly discounted, so that's going to be pretty cool, actually. All the elemental charges, that's going to be great for the season. It doesn't say specific ones, it just says all elemental charge mods, so that's going to be good for the season for builds. I do like some of the mods that reduce how much some of the mods cost for seasons. However, it's hit and miss, because once the season's over, you got to go back to your old builds too. So typically when I'm making a build video, I don't put Origin, or I don't put any artifact mods in there, especially any that might cost or reduce any cost, just because I want my builds to work after the season's over too, but it'll be good to use for the season. Next up, we got Saint's Inspiration. Rounds loaded by the Cast No Shadows Origin perk can overflow the magazine. I don't know what that one is, so that's going to be another one. That could be like a dungeon, or it could be from the raid, we'll see. And then finally, Winning Hand. When using weapons with the Dealer's Choice Origin trait, combatant precision final blows or rapidly defeating combatants cause a target to explode, dealing solar damage to nearby enemies. Having several equipped weapons with the Dealer's Choice Origin trait increases the effect of the explosion. Now, Dealer's Choice, I believe, is going to be the expansion weapons. It's going to be all K themes. It's all those weapons that had the faces on them with the cards. So that's what all those should be from. Now, next up, we've got Elemental Siphon. Rapid final blows with a kinetic weapon or a weapon matching your equipped super create an elemental pickup that matches your equipped super. So again, this is how Prismatic is going to be working. It's going to be based off of whatever super you got equipped. There's going to be a lot of mods, and it looks like a lot of artifact mods that are going to work with that as well. Next up, we've got Overload Sword. Just going to be Overload for Sword. I'm always a bit weird about Overload on swords, or pretty much any artifact mods involving swords, because champions typically be pretty strong, especially in Grandmaster, and you don't typically want to get up close to them with a sword. So, not really digging the Overlord Sword one, especially since Overload is typically the hardest champion or anti-champion mod to proc. We'll see how swords work. I don't really like it, but it also says that swords are going to be overcharged when the modifier is active, so that's going to be cool for sword builds. But yeah, I definitely don't like the Overload Sword for this season. And next up, we got Creeping Chill. Stasis weapon frontal blows against slowed or frozen targets reduce a burst that slows. That's going to be pretty cool. Even though it's going to be a light focus season, it is still cool to see that we're going to be getting some stuff for the dark subclasses. Next up, Press the Advantage. Breaking a combatant shield grants increased weapon stability, handling, and reload speed. Sword gains increased guard resistance. And then Threaded Blast. Destroying a tangle with a strand weapon creates a larger and more damaging explosion. That's going to be fun. I think we had that a couple seasons ago. I forgot if this is going to suspend enemies or not. I hope it does. That was actually a pretty fun season when Strand first came out and we could shoot the tangles and it would just spin everything around. That was really powerful. It's good to see that back. I hope we can get that at some point as just a permanent ability, but we'll see. Next up, column 4, we're starting to get into the chunky stuff. We got Counter Energy. When you or a member of your fire team stuns a champion, you gain energy for your least charge ability. That's going to be good for Grandmasters. If everybody's got that equipped, you're going to be getting some energy back fairly often, depending on the Grandmaster. Maybe not one I choose overall. We'll see what else there is, but it's not a bad one. Next up, we've got Blade Stamina. Rapidly defeating combatants with a sword refund some ammo. I do wonder how that stacks with something like Rapid Strikes. Maybe they stack together. That'd be nice. Give you even more ammo. Next up, we've got Void Hegemony. It says, while you have a Void or Prismatic subclass equipped, defeating weakened targets provides a small Void Overshield. This is in the fourth column. Honestly, just having a weapon that has a Repulsor Brace on will probably be better than this because it's going to work off of any Void debuff. I don't know. I guess if you don't have a weapon that has that, that'll work. But I don't know. For a fourth column perk, that one doesn't sound too great to me. But we'll see how it works out. Radiant Orbs. While you have a Solar or Prismatic subclass equipped, picking up an Orb of Power makes you Radiant. That's pretty powerful. Next up, Galvanic Armor. It says, while you have an Arc or Prismatic subclass equipped, incoming damage from combatants is reduced while amplified. Now, amplified can be kind of a bitch to control because there's not a lot. I mean, there are some ways to guarantee it's going to be active, and other times it just activates when it wants to, so I don't typically like abilities like that. Now, Amplified is kind of unique. It's the only ability I can think of that kind of can activate on its own randomly. However, with Prismatic, there is a fragment where you can pick it up, or pick up an Overpower, while you have an Arc Super equipped, and it will make you Amplified, so you can guarantee that. So that could work with Galvanic Armor. It basically makes it to where when you pick up an Overpower, you will take reduced damage and get Amplified. So, not bad. Again, I wish that was more of a permanent fragment or something, not necessarily a seasonal mod or artifact mod, but we'll see how it even works out. It may not even be good, but we'll see. And then finally, we've got the fifth column. This is where the craziest stuff comes. This is where we're going to be looking at some crazy builds this season. First up, we've got the Prismatic Transfer. When you cast your super, each member of your fire team with a super type different than yours gains a bonus to weapon damage. That right there is already looking at some pretty crazy synergy, especially with something like Well of Radiance getting nerfed. This could work out pretty well. I don't know how it's going to stack. It depends on what the bonus damage to weapons is, if it's going to be more than a Well of Radiance. Even without a Well of Radiance, I mean, it's going to be better without one, obviously. But I am curious to what that weapon's damage will be, and it's going to be easier than ever to have everybody on a different super with Prismatic, so I can't wait to see that one. Next up, we have Argent Blade. It says, while you have armor charge, dealing damage with a sword consumes an armor charge and empowers your sword for a short time, granting it bonus damage and energy recharge rate. I wonder how the surge mods are going to work with this. If it's going to take two charges to make it and the Argent Blade work together, or if it's just going to take one. I'm guessing it'll probably take two, but I am curious to see what that damage bonus is going to be and if it stacks. That could make for some pretty crazy sword builds this season. I can see that they want us to use swords quite a bit. We've got the Overcharged Sword, and then we got the Argent Blade, so this could be pretty fun. Expanding Abyss, Void sources deal increased damage to weakened targets. Right there, that's going to be, I'm going to go ahead and say this is probably going to be one of the better mods for the season, especially using something like Void. Void sources deal additional damage, so anything that will weaken, this will help you do even more damage to that weakened target. This is what I'm foreseeing that Void is going to be the big subclass to look at for damage this season. So, especially for the World's First, I'm guessing that this is going to be indispensable. Finally, we got Shield Crush. While you have Woven Mail, Frost Armor, or Void Overshield, see here comes Void again, your melee recharges faster and deals increased damage. While you have Amplified or Radiant, your grenade recharges faster and deals increased damage. Again, I can't wait to see what that bonus damage is, but once again, that Overshield. Now, this is for anything, and keep in mind, I mentioned it earlier, there is a fragment that will give you all of these things when you pick up a Orb of Power, depending on what your super you have equipped. So if you got on the Strand Super, it's going to give you the Woven Mail. The Stasis Super, it's going to give you Frost Armor. If you got on the Void one, it's going to give you the Overshield. And then, of course, if you have an Arc Super on, you get Amplified. Or if you have on the... Now, for the Solar one, I got to double check. I think that one actually gives you Restoration, but it might make you Radiant. I got to double check that one. And finally, we have Transference. And this is the one I think is going to be really interesting for this season. It says, gain increased grenade and melee damage while Transcendent. Weapon Final Blows while Transcendent refund light and dark energy after Transcendence ends. I wonder if this is going to be a situation like with the supers, how they give you back energy when it's done or when you get so many hits or block so much damage, where you can get up to half your energy back, or if you can just get your full super back with it, or your full, it's not a super bar, your transfer or Transcendence bar. So I wonder if you can get the entire thing back with this, or if it's going to be cut down to half. And I wonder if this is going to maybe bust Prismatic a bit. I like when they boost skills, but the one thing I don't want to happen is for us to get this skill, for Transcendence to just be awesome the entire season, and then it's going to feel weaker after this. This is one I may not pick up just because I don't want it to feel weaker when the season is over. Now, that being said, I'm probably still going to use it, to be honest, but I do hate getting a new subclass and we get some really cool mods we can use for, or some really good artifact mods, and then once the season is over, we don't have them anymore, and then that feels weaker. Now, Prismatic is going to be strong no matter what, but I just hate that feeling. Alright, now, the raid for the expansion is going to be called Salvation's Edge. Here are the details for the raid race. On June 7th at 10 a.m. Pacific time, fire teams will look to become the first to complete the raid race, yada yada, we know that. The details. Contest mode will be enabled for 48 hours. Again, those who were unaware, they changed that a couple years ago. Now we got 48 hours instead of 24 hours to get the raid race done. A good portion of that was because people kept getting DDoSed or they kept getting error coded. So for that reason, they've increased that to 48 hours. You need to be at least 1965 power level to be at the cap through all the encounters. For entry requirements, you need to complete the Final Shape campaign, and the Wild Card Exotic mission is a requirement to launch the raid, but only the fire team leader must meet this requirement. So as long as the fire team leader has got all that done, everybody else can join in. A fair warning for any members of a fire team who do not complete the Final Shape campaign before jumping into Salvation's Edge, the raid contains spoilers. So you definitely want to finish up the campaign and get the Wild Card Exotic quest before you jump into that raid. Now, completion criteria. We've changed the way we would track and recognize the world's first competition of the raid. Fire teams will no longer be required to return to orbit to finish the race. The first fire team to finish every encounter and loot the final chest will be declared the world's first and have their victory immortalized with Salvation's Edge world first raid belts. So before, when you finish the raid, raid teams would have to quickly get to orbit after the chest spawned in. To claim that world's first. It looks like now, as long as you've looted the chest, that will be when the timer stops, not when you get back to orbit. So that is a small change. I'm sure there's a reason for that, but that is what the change is. So similar to Crota's End, we will be working to quickly check with analytics before we announce the winning team on our social channels, and we'll then start our more thorough security review. We don't want to make everyone wait around when we dig in this data, but if we do find any cheating or violations that have occurred, we reserve the right to disqualify a team and crown the next fire team in line with the world's first, even after an announcement. So basically, if you cheat and get caught, you're going to lose your world's first. So that's all that means. And we got the details for the Twitch Rivals program. If you want to go ahead and check that one out, they're going to be giving out some emblems for watching it. They show these off on a different twit. So you can actually get these two emblems by watching certain Twitch channels. So check those out if you want those emblems. Finally, for Fire Team Finder voice chat update. Since we're making coordination with your Fire Team and Fire Team Finder even easier. With the launch of the Final Shape, we're adding a new voice chat channel for Fire Team Finder lobbies. Player will be able to use voice chat to coordinate their plans and discuss options before launching into the activity. That is huge. Once in a Fire Team Finder lobby, players can press left, down, they can cycle through the Fire Team Finder and Fire Team voice chat channels as they please. So we can now coordinate before you actually launch your Fire Teams. So that's going to be huge. All right, fine. I'm going to go with storage requirements for the Final Shape. Remember, you're going to be able to pre-download this the day before. I'm going to go with the storage space needed for the installation for Destiny 2. For PS5, 143.81 gigabytes. For PS4, you need 129.31 gigabytes. Xbox One, 139.52. Xbox Series XS, 165.82. For Steam, 299.70 gigabytes. For the Epic Game Store, 279.66 gigabytes, and for Microsoft Store, 156.22 gigabytes. So keep that in mind if you need to, like happens a lot of times, like when I download a game, if you don't got the space for it, go and start making space for that now. You may need it. These are going to be some chunky downloads. So that's going to be it for today, guys. That was the This Week in Destiny for May 30th. Again, we are just days away from the Final Shape. There may be more information coming out here soon. Like I said, I did speculate that maybe they might release Final Shape early because of the leaks. It does not look like that is the case. However, that could always change. That being said, if you like what we're doing here on the channel, please like the video and sub to the channel if you love what we're doing. Thank you all for coming by, and I will see you all on the next video.